Welcome back to the Executive Dad Podcast YouTube channel. This is a clip from our episode 3 with Danny Frazer, where he dives into his leadership philosophy that every problem is an opportunity. I thought this was a powerful clip, so I wanted to chop it from the episode and share it as an individual video here on the YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy it. Please comment and subscribe if you like this content, and let us know what you think.
So this one, this is probably one of my favorites, and it's really about a mindset. And essentially, every problem creates an opportunity. Every problem. So as a young manager, and I remember this, Nick, I'm in my 20s. And I don't know what it is, and maybe it's developmental, like thinking like, oh, we built the system, we've got the training, we covered this, and that somehow because we put all that effort into it, everybody's got it, and I'll never see that problem again. And as soon as someone brings me that problem, like, oh, like frustrated, disappointed, aggravated, inconvenienced, maybe feeling like they're pointing the finger at me or they're upset at someone else. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And almost like a craving for there to be less problems.
Right.
Like, hey, actually, if I get less problems, that means that I'm doing a really good job. And it took me a while to recognize, wait a minute, like there's no such thing as perfection. It does not exist, and it is inevitable that things will break down and that there will be problems.
Right.
And this is in every dimension of our lives, right? And so as soon as, and it was in part because of my own coach, and I think we talked a little about this. I was at an impasse in my own career, and this was one of those gems that she gave me. I remember calling her up, and we actually had a forest fire shut down our operating area. The Forest Service had never shut down the San Juan National Forest here in Colorado in its 103-year history, Nick. And all of a sudden, they're calling me up to say, hey, in 72 hours, you guys can't operate here. And I'm just like, and I remember so vividly, and it can feel a little, I don't know, trite. It can feel, I'm not sure what the right word is, but insulting maybe. To be like, hey, there is an opportunity in this problem. And you may not know what it is now, but if you don't get consumed by the anger, the grief, the sorrow, the frustration, feeling bad for yourself, feeling like you're a victim of the circumstance, there will be something that will come out of it. There will be a silver lining, and there might even be in the midst of struggling with the problem, a solution you didn't even know you need to other problems, or maybe even alternative that's better than the problem that actually you're presented with, or that, or even the normal course of action that you've been sort of operating in. And so this is like, for me, that mindset, and it's easier sometimes to apply to certain situations than others, but there's a couple of recent examples that pertain to being a father. And it's kind of back tying in one of your questions about what my children have taught me. So I have it, my 12-year-old Everett is dyslexic. And it's big news when you sit down with a teacher and they're like, he's just not keeping up. And we don't know what's going on. It's my wife and I, and I'm getting teary eyed and I'm like, what's wrong? And then we finally get to the bottom of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my kid's never going to leave my house. Like he's not going to be able to get a high school degree. I mean, you just start going down the rabbit hole of negative thinking and
worst possible scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we end up getting him assessed, we get him treated, and then we get him into summer essentially tutoring. And he has to work his butt off because it doesn't come to him like it does everybody else.
Right.
And I remember along the way being so impressed with, here's someone who at the time was like 8, who is having to put time in on top of school at home before any kids are doing homework hardly, and in the summer. And I remember talking with his dyslexia therapist, Michelle, wonderful woman. And she's like, you know what's so cool about this? Dyslexics become hardworking, persistent people earlier than most people. And that is an attribute that will serve him for the rest of his life.
Absolutely.
Yes, it doesn't come easy to him. He wants to learn how to read, and he can now handle a level of hardship and setback that I don't think a lot of kids who are 12-year-old can handle. And at the
Right.
time, this is a big problem. And oh my gosh, is like, what is, but like, wait a minute, like there is a gift in this. And it reminds me, I worked for Outward Bound and we like to quote the founder, Kurt Hahn, and he talked about your disability is your opportunity. And he's kind of drawing from Nietzsche, the German philosopher. Your
Yep.
disability is your opportunity. And I think of my child and I think of others who have learning differences, ADHD. There is a gift and a set of skills, and there is an opportunity on the other side of that type of a problem. And I know we saw this with our students in wilderness therapy.
100%.
A lot of them are defiant, and right next to that is this willfulness. A lot of them might be depressed or anxious. Well, a lot beside that is this deep empathy and like being emotionally attuned. And
Right.
so for me, applying this both as a business leader, welcoming problems, because guess what? If I welcome problems and people can trust me, that's communicating something to them like, hey, I can rely on this guy. I can know that he's going to be there and have my back. They're also then going to bring me things that maybe I can prevent consequences from being even worse downstream. And so
Right.
it's crazy. I used to actually, I think some of my direct reports were kind of surprised because, like, oh my gosh, the bearer of bad news. I'm like, no, man, there's probably something in this is going to make us stronger and better.
Right.
And so that was the mindset that I brought to sometimes very difficult, challenging circumstances. And I've tried to apply that in my own life as well. And it's something that I'm grateful that I had the chance for my coach to bring to me.